I want to extend a warm welcome to you all. And tonight's agenda is very simple. It's to enjoy each other's company while we honor Professor Sen with this year's Notre Dame Award for International Human Development and Solidarity. Before we begin dinner, though, I want to invite Father Hesburgh to lead us in prayer. The Notre Dame Award for Human Development and Solidarity is really focused on the core values. It's presented each year to an organization or to individuals who exemplify the values that are at the heart of Notre Dame's mission. And it's hard to think of the values at the heart of Notre Dame's mission without thinking about Father Hesburgh. And Father Ted has been a huge supporter of the Kellogg Institute, the Kroc Institute, and the Ford program. And without his leadership and vision, it's hard to imagine that we would be here tonight doing what we are doing. So please join me in welcoming Father Ted here. And Father Ted, we'd be honored if you lead us in prayer.
Before praying, I'd like to join my voice to all of yours in thanking Professor Sen for a marvelous intellectual treat today. Thank you for coming, and thanks for your wonderful words. And God bless you in your ongoing plight for justice. The best grace I ever heard was down in Chile. And the nice thing about it, it's very brief. And I'll say it first as I first heard it down in Santiago, and then, of course, in English. Señor nuestro, da pan a los que tienen hambre, y a nosotros que tenemos pan, da un hambre para la justicia. Dear Lord, give bread to those who have hunger, and to those of us who have bread, give a hunger for justice. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and God bless this food and all of you. Thank you.
Once again, I want to thank you all for being here tonight. It's a great honor for us to be together with Professor Sen. A few months ago, we decided to present the Notre Dame Award for International Human Development and Solidarity to Professor Sen. And we were going to do that, Professor Sen, whether you would come to visit us here at Notre Dame or not. And in fact, we really kind of doubted, given your very busy schedule, that you would be able to visit us here at Notre Dame. But you came. You're here. And we are so, so grateful that you are here. This award is presented by the Ford Family Program in Human Development Studies and Solidarity, which is part of the Kellogg Institute. And we always present it to somebody who's just made an amazing contribution to human development, whether through practice or through research. And Professor Sen has just done a remarkable job of integrating research and outreach. He's really helped people to think about complex problems and to address those problems effectively. So, Professor Sen, you're really just a model recipient, I think, of the Notre Dame Award for Human Development and Solidarity. And the Ford program is dedicated, as many of you know, to integrating teaching, research, and grassroots community engagement that builds capacity. And right now, most of our partnerships are in East Africa, Kenya, and Uganda. In Uganda, we're partnering with 12 villages in central Uganda. And in Kenya, we're partnering with people in a slum area called Nairobi called Dandora. So we're really at the beginning of the Ford program's work, and we're really excited about the potential the Ford program has to grow and to really make a difference. Right now, I want to invite our provost, Dr. Tom Burish, to come forward. Dr. Burish has been incredibly supportive of the Kellogg Institute and the Ford program from the very beginning. And I'd like to invite Professor Burish up to say a few words, and as we prepare to present the Notre Dame Award to Professor Sen. Thank you.
Thanks, Father Dowd. This has truly been a special day for Notre Dame to have Professor Amartya Sen speak. You heard about the elegance, the penetration, the capacity of his intellect, the compelling nature of his rhetoric, the warmth of his personality, the sparkle of his wit. It was an absolutely wonderful evening. It's also going to be a wonderful opportunity to present this prize because not only is it meant as an honor for you, Professor Sen, you're accepting it, as Father Dowd said, is an honor to Notre Dame, for which we're very grateful to you. I know that when you were informed of the Nobel Prize that the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences calls at 5 a.m. to tell you about that. I'm told that Father Dowd at least waited till breakfast time when he called you about this special award. It's part of the charm of the Notre Dame way, even though we're part of that award. The Notre Dame Award is given for this reason, and I quote, "To recognize individuals or organizations that stand in solidarity with those in deepest need. More specifically, winners of the Notre Dame Award are honored for substantial contributions to the promotion of international human development through research, practice, public service, or philanthropy." Professor Sen's work exemplifies the very best of what can happen when, in Notre Dame's mission statement, as Father John said today, learning becomes service to justice. Using skills that he developed through his own educational experiences, he has been a voice for people who have had no voice, for people who without help would never reach their true human potential. The Nobel Prize in Economics, which you won, is only one side of the transformative nature of your contributions. Professor Sen has published in the areas not only of economics, but also philosophy and decision theory, and his many authored books, written over 50 years, have been translated into more than 30 languages. With his colleague, Mahbub ul-Haq, he produced what Scott referred to today as the Human Development Index, an index that looked beyond average income as a way of looking at human development and assessing if people have reached their human development. Indeed, this work is based, as you heard in part Professor Sen say today, on the concept of the necessity of human freedom for human development. Freedom is realized through free and fair elections, freedom of speech, and freedom of association. As Professor Sen has emphasized, that people do not have freedom if they're not free to discuss their problems and potential solutions to their problems and participate in picking the best solution, then there's little chance that they will develop themselves to their full capacity. That he wanted to devote his career to teaching and research is something that he knew from an early age. I quote him, "Between the ages of 3 and 17, I seriously flirted, in turn, with Sanskrit, mathematics, and physics before settling for," and this, Professor Evans, is a great phrase, "the eccentric charms of economics." His interest would take him to Presidency College in Calcutta and then Trinity College at the University of Cambridge, where he earned his PhD in 1959. And then he has been a full-time faculty member, a part-time faculty member at universities all over the world, including MIT, the Delhi School of Economics, the London School of Economics, Oxford University, Cornell University, Trinity College, and currently at Harvard. He has not yet been on the faculty of Notre Dame. You heard today that he was, however, at a high school, attended high school, at a high school run by the Congregation of Holy Cross. So I think it's very fitting that today he inspired students who have also had a transformative life experience because of members of the Holy Cross congregation, like Father Dowd, who teaches at Notre Dame. Of course, Notre Dame students represent only a small part of those who have been transformed because of your writing and speaking. But there's an even more important reason you're receiving this award, and that's because you have transformed, you have enabled the life of millions of people who are among the poorest and most needy people in this world. And for that reason, we are proud to honor you with the Notre Dame Award. I'll ask Father Dowd now to come forward and read the citation for this award.
And Professor Sen, we'd like to invite you forward at this time as well.
Sorry. I was enjoying listening so much.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So much.
The Notre Dame Award for International Human Development and Solidarity recognizes individuals or organizations that stand in solidarity with those in deepest need, working together with those they serve as they become agents of their own change. It is given for substantial contributions to the promotion of international human development through research, practice, public service, and philanthropy. In giving these awards, the Ford program celebrates the leadership and dedication of the awardees and bears witness to the many development challenges faced by so many people throughout the world. And so to Professor Amartya Sen for promoting a deeper awareness of the challenges faced by people in parts of the world where extreme poverty continues to be a problem, for showing that there can be no truly human development without respect for human dignity, human rights, and human agency, for inspiring so many young, talented people to dedicate themselves to the promotion of human development, and for placing his amazing intellectual skills at the service of others so that they may have opportunities to develop their intellectual skills and live the kind of lives they have reason to value. For all this and so much more, it is with great honor that the University of Notre Dame, through its Ford Family Program in Human Development Studies and Solidarity, presents the Notre Dame Award for International Human Development and Solidarity to Professor Amartya Sen.
Well, I'm very overwhelming and not quite sure what to say. I think our awardees are not encouraged to make long speeches, so I wouldn't, but I'm really very moved, and thank you very much. I'm extremely grateful. I might take this opportunity of mentioning, since it's an award in human development, and since my involvement with human development is much connected with someone whose name's already figured, namely that of Mahbub Haq from Pakistan, who was in fact the leader of the human development movement. And he was a close friend of mine. We were undergraduates together. I met him on my first day on the way to the class, and had a close friendship since then. I still remember various periods when he was in Pakistan, I was in India. One of the letters I remember saying, just calculated that if India and Pakistan go at the maximum rate possible, in 40 years we'll catch up with Egypt in terms of per capita income. So I wrote back to Mahbub saying, what have you got against Egypt? They said, nothing, except we ought to be able to do better. So I must say, since and we kept on doing it, and I also remember the time when for a while he flirted with everything. He wanted to get things going. He was a kind of, to elderly people like me would mean something, but the younger people, it wouldn't. But he was an Andrew Monroe-like character who gets frustrated while being a radical, nothing was happening, then decides to join de Gaulle, and does make some change in the culture. He was the cultural minister in that. So he had joined, in fact, even many of our common friends never forgave him for joining a military government, indeed Zia's government, which did most of it in cultivation of Islamism. He was unhappy, but there he was trying to do something. He soon came round to the view that he couldn't do anything at all. And then eventually he started that, and he wrote me a letter saying, drop everything, come and help me to develop this human development approach and the Human Development Index. And I remember also telling him, look, the whole idea of capturing a complex idea like human development in one index, like one number, if somebody asks a complicated question to which you answer 137. I mean, that will not be regarded as friendly exchange of views. And he said, you're absolutely right. And I said, do you agree that it's vulgar and crude? I said, yeah. And then after a little while, my son, Kabir, came up to me and he said, you know, that man is on the telephone again. So I went back and he said, Amartya, I want you to do an human development index for me, which will be just as vulgar as the GDP, accepting much better, and not ignoring most of human lives. So his insight was great in the sense that it's not only that you have to change the perspective to human development, but you need some flagship. And as Mabu put it, that otherwise people would say human development is just great. But when it comes to judging something, they would use GDP. And if human development has become such a success as it is through the in which index played a part, in which instrumentally I was led to the role of having to devise it, it was because of his vision that you need on one side the real understanding of how human development with its 195 characteristics, and at the same time one summary, vulgar information. So my message of that, the lesson that I got away from it is don't fan vulgarity without seeing what its impact might be. So I recollect him in this context. I'm very pleased and very grateful, and the kindness here is fantastic. I won't make any unfair comparisons, but I feel certainly much more like being among friends than I might have felt even at the Nobel. So thank you very much indeed.
And at this time, I'd just like to invite Scott Appleby forward for just a few remarks.
Father Dowd asked me to keep my remarks, let's see, it's 9:10, to under 30 minutes. And I never do that, so I'll go much longer. I'm kidding. For those who are about to head for the exits, I'll be very brief. There was so much rich in your lecture and the discussion session, Professor Sen, that one could pick almost any one of your themes to comment on, but I'm just going to mention one, given the hour. And that was at the beginning of your lecture when you talked about choices A, B, C, and D in the social contract. What choices do we need to make? And you said choice A is always the transcendent choice, the choice of the ideal. And we can't achieve the ideal, and so you prudently, pragmatically said we have to choose between B, C, and D, and there'll be different priorities depending on the different perspectives that are brought to it. Well, you've come to a place where we spend a lot of time on choice A. We're a place that has a passion for the infinite, and the lure of the transcendent infects us, you might say, and inspires us. And that's part of our Catholic and heritage, Catholic in the broadest sense of the term, part of our faith heritage, and it drives this place. But I'm also pleased to say that you belong here in so many ways because the Catholic social imagination is one that claims that that lure of the transcendent, choice A, can also be reflected in the kind of rational discourse that sorts between those other priorities. So Catholic social teaching says, yes, we aspire to the transcendent, we aspire to the ideal, but we believe we can translate some of those aspirations into the common vocabulary that reaches across cultures. And so you're a perfect interlocutor for us. And we're so delighted that you're here. And I want to thank my colleagues at the Kellogg Institute and the university more generally for joining us at Kroc and welcoming you here, and thank all of you for being part of this event. Thanks.
And I really don't have much more to say, much more to add to what Scott said. I just want to thank you all for being here this evening. Really glad that you made the time to be here. I want to thank in a special way, of course, Professor Sen for being with us. I want to thank the people who have worked so hard on this event at both the Kellogg Institute and the Kroc Institute. So thank you. Wish you just a wonderful evening. Have a great evening. God bless you all. Thank you.